Okay, we're starting with the WordPress tutorial for the compañeros in Orlando, Florida. With me right now is Juan Marcos Vilar. I know Marcos doesn't like the Juan ever, but it's just a habit I got into. Marcos, why don't you start by telling me a little bit about the blog you set up, the name, the history, and what you want to accomplish.
So, Dímelo it's been a project that has been in the works for many years, and for one reason or another, it never really has taken off from the ground. It originally was a concept that we were going to use at the national level, where we're going to have sharing from different communities, Puerto Rican communities in the United States. We did attempt that and had a format during that time, but participation didn't sustain it, and so we weren't able to implement it. Back literally 10 years ago in 2004. There's been a couple attempts between me and another colleague, Roberto Lopez, to try at different times to get it to go. At one point, we thought it might be something that we might use, across different Latino groups. But at this point, we have a small group of community members here in Orlando that are interested in using the concept to highlight, different things that are going on in the community here in the I-4 corridor. And it's primarily around the Puerto Rican community, but it's also, it's not exclusive in that we will consider, publishing from other authors from different vantage points, but the focus is around the Puerto Rican community in Orlando.
Okay, excellent. So what we want to do now is just go through a basic. Stop me if you have any questions. I'm just going to lay out sort of the different components in some ways, and I'm not sure this is an accurate metaphor. I liken WordPress or any other of the content management systems, Joomla, Text Pattern, etc., Drupal, to InDesign, or when it was in its heyday, Quark Express, or before that, PageMaker, in the sense that they're repositories, right, where you bring pictures, audio, video, words, and design into one central place. So as much as possible, you want to be your blog or your website to be, number one, attractive, to load fast. So you have to optimize pictures. So we'll be looking at open source software if you're not lucky enough to have a copy of Photoshop, right? Or some such app to optimize your pictures so they take up less space, so they download faster, because of course all surfing is an act of downloading information. So let's start off with some of the questions you have about Dímelo.
So basically, Alejandro, what we wanted to do today was to get a basic tutorial on how to upload content into the website.
Yeah.
We also we did our first attempt at an upload last night on this website, and as you can see, it did not. The picture was not. It did not come up on the headline of the story, and it looks like the headline has a different font or a different appearance than the fonts of the others when they were first posted.
All right. Okay.
So
I look at troubleshooting that, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and finish. Sorry.
Yeah. So I think that's the main thing, and then there's a few other questions I wanted you to check and see how the settings are for, broadcasting this through Facebook and Twitter and some of the options there. can like multiple Twitter accounts be connected to Dimero so that once you publish something, it automatically retweets in those like in the end. For example, we're building an editorial board, for example. Could all of them be their Twitter accounts be out there as, or should we instead have one Twitter account for Dimero and then retweet as individuals of the editorial board or other correspondents or collaborators? So
Okay.
some ideas and suggestions as to how to broadcast and disseminate through other social media.
Okay. So let me start at the beginning, and then we'll sort of wander all over the place, right? So first and foremost, you want to have your members or whoever you want to start working on the website look at this, and I'm sharing the screen with you and everybody. It's wordpress.org, and it's the Codex WordPress lesson. This is sort of your A through Z tutorials. Now, it's not to say that they don't have other tutorials, but a lot of them are paid. And this is the official WordPress tutorial site. So anything you need from the micro, the introduction to blogging, the first steps, how to add pictures, etc., all the way to the macro, how to develop a faster website, how to do theme development. You can get it all here and free. Now, there are commercial services available. Off the top of my head, you have three. Udemy, udemy.org, lynda.com, my favorite, and grovo.com. All of these try to target a different audience, but they all are video-intensive tutorials where they walk you by what you want to know. And it's not just about WordPress, it's about technology. So lynda.com, for an annual premium, you get unlimited access, but you actually take tests at the end of the video tutorials. So depending on the complexity of the subject, be it WordPress or Adobe Premiere or Final Cut Pro, it may be 12, 15 hours cut up into 1-hour chunks or 45-minute chunks, and then you'll get a test. So the point of this is a way, especially with WordPress, to do the free route and still measure, because you'll be able to do what they say on an immediate basis. In this case, we're going to troubleshoot both the picture and the headline issue, which I heard you lay out, right? But this is a place where you want to bookmark it and be able to tell your people, go back to it, right? At some point, you'll also know and learn that WordPress is available in dozens of languages. So you might consider doing a Spanish blog, right, with the Spanish version of WordPress. There are translating plugins. Just to go to what you said about Facebook and Twitter, the immediate answer is there's a plugin so you can feed one Facebook and one Twitter account. But you can use another application, and most of these have free as well as premium levels or freemium levels, called Hootsuite. Hootsuite lets you start out with 5 free Facebook or Twitter accounts and lets you go ahead and retweet to as many personal or company accounts as you want. Another way to deal with it is what here in Chicago we have an e-newsletter. It comes out weekly. We use a commercial service called Constant Contact. And again, there are dozens of them. Constant Contact allows you, if you're an admin or if you become an admin, to add literally as many Facebook and Twitter accounts as you want. So when we send out our newsletter, which reaches 6,500 plus people on a weekly basis, you'll also see that it gets shot out to Facebook and to Twitter in the form of links, right? So they can click and it has the main story. So really we're expanding our reach easily by 2,000-3,000 people every time we send out, because it'll go to Facebook and it'll go to Twitter. So in some ways we have to find the combination of what's right for Dimelo, for you all to do it without necessarily either costing you a lot of time or effort or resources. All right, so I would say the background of what we want is you want to make sure whoever, here's a Facebook account, this is mine, but you're also an admin that you or whoever we're going to do this with is an admin, not just a content creator, but an admin to whatever organizational Facebook or personal Facebook. So some people might end up manually retweeting if they don't feel comfortable adding another person to their personal Facebook or Twitter account. But here's what you'll see. When you're an admin, here's and this is the National Boricua Human Rights Network, the Chicago chapter. You'll be able to see the links to that people add, but also that we add here, like this one. You'll see the different newsletters because it'll all start with constant contact. This one here in particular, right? conta.cca, and let me share the screen, of course, so people can see it here. All right. So you see what the one I'm mousing over here, tweet for Oscar, April 1st, right? Having said that, so this was the content of our newsletter or the lead story, but you see everything, and of course, here's the masthead. So you're able to take advantage of both Facebook, where's the Twitter? Here's the Twitter, all right? And the Twitter's capacity to retweet or resend, all right, everything that you want. So it could be immediate on an issue, or it could be weekly, or whenever you want, all right? But it's up to you and how you set it up. The third point is if you're going to develop an organizational blog, you want to be able to archive pictures so they're not on somebody's flash drive or in a CD, heaven forbid, or on somebody's hard drive. You want it where they're easily accessible. They can be privately or publicly accessed. You can view them without necessarily downloading them. So I say this because our group uses Flickr. Again, there's a bunch of services like this. PhotoBucket comes to mind. Snapfish also comes to mind. But it's a way to do as many pictures as you want, right? So Flickr I like because it has so much free space. So here you'll see that we have 6,170 pictures uploaded since whenever we started it, 5 or 10 years ago, and they're divided into albums. Okay, so having said that, in this case, we're free to download at high res for print or at web version, in this case for Dímelo. So I would just add you as a contact, and you could go in and pick a picture depending on what you wanted and use it for Dímelo just by copying the web address or the URL. Any questions so far?
No, we don't have a Flickr account connected to Dímelo yet, but we do have a Facebook account.
Okay, so what you want to do is make sure you're taking notes or go back and look at the recording here, what you need to do. All of these things, it seems to me it's better to establish them now, right, and have that practice of uploading, only because I've been in positions where we say, oh, these people will grow into it, and yet when they grow into it, they're not used to it. It's a process that gets integrated into your workflow. So you write something and you put it, you're ready to upload it, whether or not you want to use, if it's going to be a sort of a collaborative environment, you want to use something like either Google Apps, right, and Google Docs, or if you're Microsoft fiends, you might want to use OneDrive, which gives you access to Office online for free, stuff like that. You have somebody edit it, and when you're ready to post, you go to Flickr, you grab a picture, or you go to YouTube, you grab a link for a video, or you go to SlideShare, which is the other piece here. So I will drift by. Here is, okay, YouTube, familiar, but not so familiar, and one of my favorite archiving sites is slideshare.net. Slideshare.net was built for PowerPoints and slideshows. So any presentation, it also is expanded to include keynotes, PDFs, JPEGs. The point is, here is where you can upload and make it publicly available, or grab what's called the embed code or link and drag it onto your web. What helps, and the reason you have things like YouTube, Flickr, and SlideShare is the faster you can make your website load, the better, right? So with code, all you're doing is grabbing a link that says this has already been uploaded, instead of forcing the viewer to download the images, even if they're low resolution, of the presentation or the video or the pictures, right? So having said that, let's go back to your site here. Where is it? Dímelo. Okay? And let's try, unless you have any questions, let's try to actually jump in and take a look at it. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to go to, let's see, new posts. All right. They have us where they want us, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're going to edit this. Okay. Was this optimized?
No, this was shared as I had it, as it was given to me.
Okay. So then it may be, there's no way of knowing, but it may be that it's too big, right? Even though it's too large in dimensions. But it's also true that, do you know the sizes for your media?
No.
Okay, so go, this is just for the video, right? We're going to go to settings at the bottom on the left-hand side and click on it, and you'll get a flyout, right? We want media there. All right, this tells us what the sizes are for this theme. Depending on the theme name, it really means there's a standard size, but you can also make them custom sizes. This is a guideline to tell you at what size and what proportion your pictures will look the best for this specific theme.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so your thumbnail size is 150 by 150 pixels. Remember, you're working in pixels when you start to crop or optimize in your image editing program like Photoshop or GIMP. Medium size, 300 by 300, large size. So unless you were able to tell it, this is what I did, or this, I crop it beforehand, right? We're going to go back to our posts and edit. All right. So let's click on the edit key. All right. This tells us it's 700, right, by 525, and it's a media file, and it's a JPEG, and let's see what you want to edit the original. All right, so let's try the 300 by 300. Look at this. Here's our scale.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Image crop. We want 1 to 1, so we're going to do 300, let's say. Okay. All right, and can we image saved? All right, so now we want to go back and replace. Oh no, we don't want to replace it. We just want to go back. That's the option. Okay, so we update it, and now here you'll see. So let's save it and update it. But you stuck. Maybe you saw this as a caption. Maybe that's it. So let's go back to the front end. Right? We refresh. And are you tagging it? Is there a difference here?
I'm not tagging the picture. I didn't tag the picture.
Or the post.
The post I do tag.
You do tag. Okay. Is there a tag that's needed for the top up there? Like slider or any such thing? Have you done this before where you want the picture up top?
No, this was the first time I posted to the site. The other posts were done by Jonathan.
Okay, so do you have any recollection of doing this, or of Jonathan doing this successfully, where you have the picture? You wanted it to go
All
across
the
the
other,
top, right?
if you go to the front page, you'll see all the other posts uh, do have a picture that comes up.
Right, right. But I'm asking you, the picture. You want this picture to run across the width of the site?
It's yeah, I'd like it to be consistent with the first ones. I like the look that we had originally with the
Right.
other posts.
Okay. So the categories. Huh. Mhm. That's fine. Is it the featured image? Let's go to our media library since we uploaded this.
So that image and the one and the third image are the ones that are associated with that article.
This
And
one
when
and
you
this
go
one.
when you go on the on my phone
Yeah.
and on Facebook, it's posting the image of the four compañeros as the as a featured image.
Okay. So, but it's not posting it on the actual website.
No, on the actual website, it's not posting any image.
All right. So let's see. We're just updating it, and all we did was make it the featured image, right? So let's go back and visit it, and boom.
There we go. Okay.
All right. So number one, we needed to resize it. We made it a little more palatable because the original was huge.
Right.
Right? We thought it was like 3,200 something pixels, which is literally 10 times the size of what we made it, because we downgraded it to 300 by 225. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the more we work on it, like we can deal with this extra space through here, right? And I want to actually go back and deal with the headline. What were you saying about the headline being in a different font?
Well, it's blue, and the other ones were black.
Right. This may be just a link that takes us to the actual article,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I say that only because here, see how it turns blue when you roll
Yeah.
over it,
Yeah.
right? So to me,
Okay.
part of it is let's figure out the space next here, which is unusually wide, but we can figure that out. What else are you thinking? What other big problems have you run into?
Those are the only ones. On the other site that I work on, which is Askarakatisky, I've never had that problem. I've had it posts and it automatically the pictures come up and it's I posted videos and other media and it's never given me this problem.
Okay. Now here I'm looking at the align because I'm trying to figure out the what will help us deal with that amazingly wide white space. See, all right. So let's update it, and I think it's just you had none checked off for the align. Let's go back and check it. I want to figure out how to make this smaller, this white space,
Hmm.
because it's unattractive. So let's go back and go to the posts and here and click on this. Right, it's aligned left. All right, so we do this and we're looking for the size. We know where we're grabbing it from. If we do the full size, that's fine, but advanced options, image margins. See, these should already be filled out, but let's see. If not, we'll have to just come back to it and play around with the size of the image margins. Okay, and come on, refresh. All right, so it's going to take some more playing around, but we solved the big one, right? I
Hmm.
want to change the margin, and I'll have to look at it offline, which just may be refreshing, but I don't think it's anything big that we want to do. I mean, that we can't do.
Hmm.
So that we can try to solve by today. What other problems were you thinking that you had with this?
No, I just wanted the other thing I wanted to figure out is how we broadcast to Twitter and so far it's working. If you go to Facebook and you go to Dímelo Orlando, you'll see that the article is visible.
All right, let's see. Dímelo
There you
Orlando.
go, right there.
All right, here we go. Fine. Okay. All right. Uh-huh.
You scroll down, it should be there. It is.
All right. Okay. So this looks fine. Once we click on
So,
the link, and
so
of
and
course,
then from there, I last night I also shared it to my own personal Facebook, and it worked fine.
okay. So you're also seeing you already have a plugin because you can see it here.
Right.
Right now, where do you want the? If we click on this, it should take you back to
Yeah,
the.
this is the other thing. Here on the plugin, um, there, I think that do you think that the Facebook should be the first one that comes up like that,
Sure. It's still the most
or
active.
is recent posts or
I like recent posts first.
yeah,
Uh,
that's what I was thinking. And
but that stuff you can just move around, right? Like I would also, you have to decide, and some of this is aesthetics. Is
mhm,
you want a shortened or a smaller Facebook, like 4 or 6 pictures, whatever, because then you can fit a tweet plugin underneath it,
mhm,
right? You want your contributors, your co-editors, your writers to be able to not only download if they're using both Android and iOS, like Apple
mhm,
phones, the application, because then you can tweet or contribute to your WordPress blog on the fly from your phone. Take a picture, type something, and send it, and it'll automatically get retweeted and posted to your Facebook.
mhm.
So if you're at an event, a social outing, a picnic, a social or political issue, a demonstration, a vigil, right? It's one way to report immediately and give people a sense of what is happening.
And there, and how you organize, what is this called, the right hand column? Those are the plugins.
Yeah, these are plugins.
So and those are managed also
They're
on
managed
the
here.
dashboard.
Uh, the dashboard is the general place, right? Here's where you put under appearance, you'll
Mhm.
see widgets,
Mhm.
or you can go to it's where are the actual plugins? This is
Well, this is .com, so it might not. It
oh,
might
so
all
it may not
be
see the same. You're right. So yes, I would say go to here widgets. All right,
and there I have all my options, right?
right. Facebook like box, recent posts. So you can reorder them. You can add, and you can search.
So basically rearranging them is as simple as taking recent posts and dragging it up to the top,
That's correct. So like this,
right?
right?
Or the search probably should be at the top, right?
Yep. There you go.
There we
Okay.
go. And then if I wanted to put Twitter there and or a Twitter feed, if we have a Twitter, once we
Correct.
establish a Twitter account, we can add that from
And then there's things you might consider taking out, like are you old enough to have archives yet, organizationally?
right.
Um, Categories. I would not put the categories separately because they're already in your menu.
Hmm.
Metadata or calendar, unless you guys are really active, I would not. You can always write a post about an event
Hmm.
that you're like a fundraiser you're doing, a dance, a dinner, whatever, as a special post, as opposed to having a calendar take up a lot of empty days in just one day,
Mhm.
right? That you're having
Right.
to plan on.
Right.
Anyway, so that's sort of some of the stuff we're doing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And then the other thing is comments. Being able to comment on the article. So far, I don't think it's set up to provide comments. Is it or isn't it? Can you check?
Sure. I can tell you right now. Let's see. So usually you set this up under settings, site title. Okay, you can fill some of this in. Do you have a tagline? Actually, I think you do, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll fill this in later, but here, let's just run through the writing. Default post, right? Here's where you can say, what do you want your default post to be? You can always change it. So you don't have to touch this, right? You can have this standard is fine, blog roll, okay. Post by email. This is good if you have a lot of people who write. They can post by email, right?
Mhm.
So you get a secret email and you give it to them and they email it there and it gets posted right away.
Mhm.
All right. Next, reading.
How does that work for pictures?
You take a picture and you can include it. You attach it.
And it automatically knows where to put it and everything.
It'll put it in a standard place. So
Uh-huh.
you can't customize a lot. If you want to right align or left align, I think it's standard left align.
Uh-huh.
Okay. On the other hand, the great advantage is you post for immediately.
Right.
Right. Okay. Blog post. Show at most at 10. You can elect to have a latest post, which I like. A static post if you're not that active or you have a different kind of blog. Full text show. Site visibility. You want the search engines to index your site. So let's go to the next one. I would take out comment count only because it's just another number. Here we go. Discussion. Attempt to notify blogs. Allow link notifications. Allow people to post comment on new articles. Here is where you want to be checked off. If in fact you want discussion,
Right.
right? So if you have somebody that's committed in your organization that knows it's part of their organizational responsibility to respond to comments,
Mhm.
right? If you have a set of guidelines set up, so when some person is a jerk and said, "Dímelo bites," then you don't get into sort of a flaming contest online uh, because nobody wins those, right? On the other hand, comments are good in the sense that the vast majority of comments are either people looking for information. They may have a different perspective, but they may not necessarily disagree with you. It's a chance, as we all know, to engage your audience. How do you find out who's reading you, right? How do you find out who's listening to you?
Mhm.
This is the way, one of the ways, comment-wise, right? So the security settings or the other comment settings, you want the author to fill out a name and an email, right? You want threaded, all that means is people can comment on comments. You may
Right.
not want that, or you may. It's up to you,
Mhm.
right? Email you when everyone posts a comment is held for moderation. That means that nobody gets to comment and people see it right away. You have to approve it,
Mhm.
which is a good thing, right?
Right.
Um, anyway, here, before a comment appears, it says comment author must have a previously approved comment. I think that's fine because otherwise you end up being manually approved for each
Every.
one.
Yeah. And
Exactly. This way you
it
can
becomes
approve it once, and as long as you know that person or you've approved them, then they get to comment again.
right.
All right?
Right.
So pretty much that's you
So
can
so let's
build.
go.
Go
So
ahead
let's go now to the entry and see what it looks like.
to the entry.
Yeah, to the article.
This article.
Yeah. Click on
Okay.
it. So there's the
You can
article.
post, right? We just redid all of this. Here's search up here.
Uh-huh.
A little cleaner, don't you think? I would
Yep.
take out again. I would take out archives. I'd take out categories.
All right.
Right.
Yeah, it looks a lot nicer.
Right, because here, if people, obviously, I'm assuming you discussed this, but categories, you can just put it up here. right? So it'll be on every page, and if people want to search for all articles by Cultura or Noticias or whatever, they can
Mhm.
do so as opposed to it taking up valuable real estate. Same with your
Mhm.
calendar here.
Mhm.
So absolutely. You know, you can have an email sign up sheet, right? Like if people want to be more active with you, how do they sign up? You
Mhm.
put a contact plug in there.
And those that widget is already available there.
Yes.
And how where do the emails get stored?
They get sent to you. They don't get sorted. They get sent to whoever you fill it out in the
Mhm.
dashboard. Send contacts to, or when people fill out a contact form, send their information to.
Then you need to manage them in whatever format you're using, whether it's
That's correct. They have more
constant contact
sophisticated
or
solutions, but usually they're a little more work and they cost money,
right,
such as online databases. You know.
right. So can you scroll to the bottom and see what the reply looks like? Leave a reply at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
All right. So we'll take all that into account and we've got this same article translated into Spanish and we've been we want to think about for now we're just gonna publish them maybe with a different picture
Uh huh.
so that you can so it doesn't look like the same article twice
Right.
in terms of aesthetics but they eventually we want to figure out what the best way to deal with the bilingual uh, publication. I know that you've talked about Google Translator and there's other options, but I think that that's something that we're gonna take on as a group when we get more established.
Sure. And I think that one doesn't preclude the other. And I mean to say that, let's say you're a year away from having enough people power to translate everything.
Hmm.
In the meantime, you can use the plugin Google Translator, right?
Hmm.
And that just means you have access to 27 languages where the syntax and the translation is very blocky at best, right?
Alejandro, let me ask you a question. It doesn't necessarily have to do with this, but on the back end, when I was looking at the statistics, on the other site that I manage, I was hugely impressed at how many hits it had gotten from other places in the world, not just the United States. And are these hits, are those usually spam hits, or are they really actual people that are looking for things on the internet in other countries?
The more established you are, I think the more there'll be people that are looking for information or do random Google searches for different search terms,
Hmm.
right? At the beginning, if you get a lot from Uzbekistan, I'm
Hmm.
thinking it's spam, right?
Hmm.
Unless they have a lot of Puerto Ricans or Latinos in
Yeah.
Uzbekistan, we don't
Or,
know.
or there was some hits from Malaysia and other parts. There was some from Taiwan and
Right. I mean, some of the stuff to filter out is just a common sense meter, right? So if you're getting a large amount of hits from Latin America, I would say those are good,
hmm.
just because.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of hits from Brazil, but there's for example, there's a musician in Brazil who's got the same name as I do, so I think that that's what.
Okay, but that's exactly what I meant. So you already know that chances are it's for the guy, the musician, and not you.
Right.
How do we, because the other part to put someone in your organization to do as a side project is how do you share links? How do you find other blogs like Dimelos in the Puerto Rican diaspora, here in the United States, and in Latin America, where you can say, hey, we'll post your link, we like your content, will you share ours? Right? So in some ways you're inviting their readers to come and visit you.
Yeah. Well, it would be good if you have some context like that. I know La Respuesta's out there. I know that there's a local blog here called Latino Orlando, which we actually linked in this article, this first article that we posted last night. Uh, and so those would be good good starts.
Mira, have somebody do a cursory research, Latino blogs in the United States.
Mhm.
Offhand, I can think of two that you should write an article describing and introducing yourself to their wider audience. Angelo Falcon's National Institute for Latino Policy, right? And Latino Rebels.
Mhm.
Off the top of my head, I can tell you, you know, they will share links with you, or they'll publish an
Right.
article.
Right.
Those are good things,
Yeah.
you know.
It'll help drive folks to our site and
Yes,
vice versa.
and it tells you there's a bunch of politically active Puerto Ricans in Orlando.
Mhm.
When they see the Latino Rebels, Angelo has already done the entree to your article by publishing the stuff around the Orange County uh,
Right.
farce, right? So, hey, just say, here's a group of people from Florida that are affected directly by that decision. Here's what we have to say.
Right. Well, Alejandro, I don't know. Is there anything else that you think you
No,
know?
what I think you should do is, I'll share the link on this after, it becomes live, which should be in about an hour or less. People should watch it seriously, and the most important thing you can do is have them practice doing the uploads and pictures,
Mhm.
right? So you want to establish, how often do you want articles posted?
Mhm.
Is this when they feel like writing something? Is this every week? Is this every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Establish that in the guidelines, but then also establish the writing guidelines. You don't want somebody who's an aspiring master's degree candidate to give you a 10-page paper
Right.
and just because they can, right?
Right.
Uh, you want stuff that's newsy, it's first person, it's active tense. Uh, Pictures are great. Short articles, and this is different from print, right? When you and I were growing up. Um, Short articles, lots of pictures. Use your camera, your cell phone camera. The
Yeah.
biggest fight is with people who think they need to be all geared up, have an expensive camera, an audio recorder.
Right.
Listen, you're doing it on the fly. You can always grow into that.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely right, and that's how we're looking at it. The if you look at this picture we used here, it's a picture we got texted to us, and that's how this thing that's the whole look that we're looking for here, and even with a picture like that, it looks fine.
Right. Exactly, exactly. So the only other thing that I would probably, if we go back on, would be for people who don't have Photoshop, because we didn't get into this, to
Hmm.
download GIMP, G-I-M-P. You can do a Google search for it. It's an open source image editor, because the idea is you want your photos at 72 dpi, dots per inch, the size that you want them. In this case, pixel-wise, when we're talking about uh, Rico's picture here, right, we made it 300 by 225 pixels. That just means it'll download much faster. Nobody wants to wait while the picture redraws, right?
Right.
And then next time, have you already embedded videos?
We haven't done that in Dimelo yet, but I have done it in other
Okay,
other sites
so
that I've
it's a
worked on.
pretty straightforward, you take the link from YouTube or Vimeo, if you want. Those are two great ones, right? And just by copying and pasting into the post, it'll embed the code so they'll be able to watch the video from your site. That's very important. You don't want people to leave your site,
Hmm.
right? So to go to YouTube. So that's why you want to either embed code or post a link, which is the same thing in WordPress.
So Alejandro, let's put that on the top list of our next tutorial. And if in the meantime you can give me maybe the 1 through 5 next things that we should be doing. We should be opening a Flickr account. You suggest. What are the top 5 suggestions for
Right.
where we are right
Well,
now?
they're in. That was the idea of the video, right? Just go back, run through the video. I run them out. I display the sites. We open them up in tabs, right? Roughly, Flickr. You want to make sure your plugins for Twitter and Facebook are done. You should think about, especially given the Orange County decision, is there a slideshow that presents what you mean? that's not words. Remember, the most important thing is visual. If you have smart, visually entertaining presentations, PowerPoint presentations or keynotes, that's going to win you a lot more converts than reading a 2-page article on why there was an injustice done, right? So establish a slide share, right? They don't have to be long PowerPoints, but
what's it called? SlideShare.
Slideshare.net.
Okay.
All right. Lastly, once you get going, you want to find ways to legally use images on the internet. So there's an article, 4 ways to find free images to use legally with Google Apps, right? All you people have Gmails, use them. Use them for Google Apps. Share your documents, right? You want to be able to look at them. Is there an editor that gets final say? Google Apps, and in this case Google Docs, is a way to prevent that horrible, oh, I didn't get that email with the last version of the article, right? Even if it's a paragraph or two. Google Docs lets you just share the link. Everybody's looking at the same document. You can simultaneously edit as long as you have an internet connection. So you can be in Orlando, somebody could be in Puerto Rico, another person could be in Alaska. You're looking and working at the same document.
Okay, and you mentioned something about what was it? Anyway, I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
No, that's it. That's just it. I'm saying have people go back and do questions, but they really need to go back and listen to it. Any questions they have, so you can email me. I'll do the list of the next 5 things, right? Let's concentrate on optimizing the website. You already have Google Analytics, so I'm thinking, how do you start to integrate? You have interviews, right, that are not necessarily video interviews. Let's do podcasts, right? Another way, if you have people that want to do this, is have them go out with a recorder, right, and write some questions or have them write questions, but the point is, get them up and going. You want people to be able to use the website. Hey, this is what's happening in Orlando's Latino/Puerto Rican community. These are, so grab the newsmakers, but also grab the people, that have a definitive point of view, and record them. 3 to 5 minutes. That's it.
Yeah, we've talked about the podcast also, and yeah. So anyway, thank you very much, Alejandro. It's been very helpful, and appreciate all your help, and we'll share this with everyone, and then some other time we can all get on the Google Doc again.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for the invitation, Marcos. Let's figure it out. Give us a month, and we'll start doing the next Google Hangout on air. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.
All right,